So, you've heard of OBS Studio for live streaming and recording videos. You downloaded it, opened it up for the first time, and have absolutely no idea where to start. Sound familiar? Well, today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at how to set it up and get started. I'm Shinny, and welcome to Stream School. Alright guys, we're going to go over a pretty basic overview of OBS Studio and get a scene set up so that you could start recording or streaming right away. It'll be pretty bare bones, but we'll go over in more details later on in some other videos of how to really spruce things up and make things look a little bit nicer. I really don't want to turn this into like a 40-minute tutorial, so let's get started. So first off, before we do anything else, we're going to need a source of some kind. I'm going to go ahead and use a display capture. So we're going to click on the plus sign down here and go to display capture. I'm going to say this is my main gaming monitor. I don't know why the G wasn't capitalized because I did press shift. And as you can see here, it is going to select my main monitor. Things are going to look a little wonky here just because since I'm recording and displaying on this monitor, it's going to just show like a infinity mirror of itself. All right. So as you can see, I've got a red bounding box. I can resize my main monitor. I can make it bigger to zoom in, make it smaller to zoom out. This is useful if you're using something like a webcam. You could scale it down to size so that like you can see me over here. Oh my goodness, it is hard to do that with the mouse around my webcam on the other monitor. But as you can see, my webcam is scaled down pretty small, so that doesn't take up a huge amount of space right now. You could also scale it up larger, which I can go ahead and do real quick. As you can see while I'm recording on my other monitor, I'm able to adjust the size quite a bit. Okay, so we have one source set up. We have our main monitor. This will display any games that we're playing, anything we're wanting to record or stream will be right here. However, as you can see in our audio mixer, we have no sound. Let's go ahead and go into the settings. We'll go over to the audio tab here on the left, and we are going to enable our desktop sound. So for me, my main audio out is my speakers, Realtek R Audio. We'll go ahead and click on that. Yours could be different. Yours could have a completely different label than mine, but this is what mine are. You can also set it to your default device, and that'll most likely work because for me, my headset is my default device. So that's the device that your sound's going to come out of, and that's where OBS is going to pick up your sound from. Now, I also want to record my microphone. So I'm going to go in here to the mic or auxiliary audio, and I'm going to change it to my audio interface, which is where my Audio-Technica AT2020 is connected to. So that way you'll be able to see and hear my audio in OBS. So now I've clicked apply, click OK, and now you can see my microphone moving as I'm talking. Now if you notice, instead of having two green bars going up into the yellow, I only have one green bar. So I'm going to click on my little setting gear here and click on advanced audio properties. And this is a problem that I run into specifically because my audio interface is only inputting one side of the audio because I only have one microphone. So I'm going to set it to mono and then close. And now you can see my green bar is on both sides here. Now this is a problem specifically to me. However, depending on how you have your audio set up, it could be a similar problem for you. This would have made it so that anytime I was streaming or recording, my voice would only come out into one side. So you might only hear me on your left or your right headphone instead of in both at the same time, like you should be hearing me currently. This got me quite a few funny comments on YouTube pretty early on. Okay, so now we have our source and we have our audio. Let's go back into settings real quick. All right, so under settings, we're gonna go to stream. And as you can see here, I have mine already set to Twitch. You can go in here, you can change it to YouTube, you can change it to Mixer, Facebook Live, Restream, Twitter, or if you click on show all, there's even quite a few more options in here. This is how you connect to your streaming account. If you change it to a different service, such as Mixer, it will ask you to connect your account. So you'll log in with your Microsoft account, and this will connect your Mixer account directly to OBS so that OBS can stream straight to your Mixer account or your Twitch account. For YouTube, you will need a stream key, which is a little bit different. And you'll get this from your YouTube account once you've been approved for live streaming on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and change mine back to Twitch. And there we go. Next, we're going to click on our output tab. All right, and your output is most likely going to be in the simple mode, not the advanced like mine was. Now, your video bit rate for streaming is going to vary depending on what your actual internet upload speed is. If you have a high upload speed, you can get away with a higher video bit rate, assuming your computer hardware can also handle that higher bit rate. Most streaming services don't recommend a very high bit rate at all, because if your viewers don't have good internet, if your bit rate's too high, and you're streaming on Twitch without transcoding options available, such as if you're not a partner yet, your viewer may have a lot of buffering when they're trying to watch your streams. So I actually stream at 4,500 kilobits per second whenever I'm streaming to Twitch. And I'm streaming 1280 by 720p at 60 frames per second. I'm using the faster encoder preset. Everything else here is pretty much default. And then we'll go into a little bit more detail on recording once I switch back over to the advanced settings. Okay, so instead of using the simple settings, I actually use the advanced settings because there's quite a few more options and customization that you can do in here. So for streaming, I'm using the X264 codec, which is the software encoder. The other one, the H264, the H stands for hardware, is a little bit different for streaming. Now, I use the software encoder for streaming, and then I use the hardware encoder for recording so that I can stream and record in two different bit rates. I record in a much higher bit rate locally than I do whenever I'm streaming to Twitch, because then I can go back later and edit that local recording with that higher quality, high bitrate footage. So as you can see, I'm rescaling my output to 1280 by 720. I'm leaving my rate control at CBR or constant bitrate, and then I have 4,500 kilobits per second as my bitrate. I have a keyframe interval of 2 because that's what Twitch recommends. And CPU usage preset is set to faster. If your computer can't handle faster, by default, it's probably on very fast. The lower you go on this scale, the harder it is for your computer to handle. The higher you go, this seems kind of counterintuitive, but the higher you go, the easier it is for your computer to handle. My computer can handle faster at 4,500 kilobits per second pretty easily, so I leave it at this because the quality looks great to me. The profile is set to main, and that's all I have for streaming. I have my first audio track selected here. Go into a little bit more detail on that in a second. Now let's go back to the recording tab. All right, under recording, my type is set to standard. I'm not using any kind of custom outputs. My recording path, I have a second hard drive set up with a folder called OBS Recording, and all of my recorded footage goes into this folder. It creates a generic file name with the date and the time, and then I can go back after I'm done recording and rename that file to something more specific to the situation, like the game I was streaming that night. Or for the example of this tutorial, this is going to be my OBS tutorial video, so I will rename that footage to that. I'm recording as an MP4, however you could also record in any of these other file types. In my recorded footage, I use the first 5 audio tracks. This is specific to my setup, and by default, most likely only the first audio track will be checked. But if you wanted to break your voice audio and your gaming audio up into 2 separate tracks, you would want to set them on different tracks down here, which I'll show that in a second, and then select the 2 tracks that you have set up here. Now for my encoder, I'm using the hardware H264 AVC encoder because I have an AMD RX 5700 XT as my video card. I have not tried the H265 encoder yet, but at some point I'll do a little bit of testing with that and see if it performs better for me. I'm not rescaling my recorded footage. I want to keep it at 1920 by 1080. Now for my presets, I have it set to recording. You could change this to quite a few different options here, but I'm using recording. I have the quality preset. My target bitrate, I've upped to 30,000 kilobits per second. So as you can see, that's between 6 and 7 times as high as my streaming preset, so there's a lot more bit rate for that footage. Each second of video has much more data in it, so the quality is much higher and it doesn't need to compress that footage nearly as much. My peak bit rate is almost as high, but not quite. That's how it was set. I think the defaults were 8 and 10,000, and I just increased both of them incrementally, basically. Everything else I've left the same here, except my keyframe interval. I've also changed to 2.0. And as you can see, my video adapter is my AMD Radeon RX 5700 XT. All right, so next we're gonna go to the video tab real quick. And as you can see here, my base canvas resolution is 1920 by 1080 because that's what my monitor actually is. I'm not scaling my output here, but I am scaling it on my streaming tab just for the stream. If I changed it here, it would scale it everywhere, and I don't want that. I only want to scale it for my stream. And then I'm using the bicubic downscale filter, which is the default. And then I am streaming and recording at 60 frames per second. But you have quite a few options here. You could do 30 frames per second if that's all your computer can handle, or if the quality of that is good enough for you. I'm doing a lot of first-person shooter and fast-paced games, so I wanted 60 frames per second. All right, next we're gonna go to the hotkeys real quick. I have a start streaming hotkey and stop streaming hotkey set up to be Alt F10. I use the same button because I can hit it once to toggle it on, hit it a second time to toggle it off later, and I only have to remember the one hotkey to start streaming. Same for recording. I use a single hotkey combination, Alt F9. This lets me start recording and then stop recording very quickly if I need to. Real quick, back on the general tab, another very handy thing to keep in mind that I will go into more detail later is this little checkbox right here in the middle, automatically record when streaming. I have this turned on. Every time I start my stream on Twitch, I automatically start recording. All I need to do is hit Alt F10, my hotkey, to turn on my stream, and it will also start my recording at the same time. So I can stream and record all of my footage. Everything lines up exactly the same. All right, now let's go back to the audio settings here real quick, just so I can go over those audio tracks. So we're gonna click on the gear down here. You could do either one on desktop audio or mic or auxiliary. Go to advanced audio properties. Now over here on the very far right, you can see that you have all these different tracks. There's 6 different tracks available for streaming and recording. So for streaming, I want all of my devices to be available. So track 1, which is what your default is for your stream, I'm going to leave both of these devices there. If I unchecked one of these like that, my stream's only going to hear my microphone. They will not hear my game audio. So I want both of these checked for my stream. And you could potentially have quite a few more audio devices as well. In this test example, I only have these 2. Now for recording, I can leave those 2 the same and have track 1 be my stream audio. Now for track 2, I want it to be just my microphone. That way, if I needed to go in and edit my own microphone audio later on, I can adjust the volume, I can adjust levels, I can fix a lot of things in post if it's separated to its own audio. And then the same thing, I'm going to turn off my microphone for track 3. So now track 3 is going to be just my game audio, or technically my computer audio. If you're in a Discord call and you're playing a game, all of that audio is technically on that same channel, unless you use something like Voicemeeter to split it up, or virtual audio cables or something like that, which will be a completely different tutorial because I don't have that set up on my computer right now, but it's a very useful tool if you need to split your audio up into multiple channels so that you can edit it more granularly later on. All right, so this is a pretty simple setup here. At this point, you could add your webcam, you could add some other sources, you could add alerts, you could add your chat overlay on top, you could add a main overlay to give you a lot of pretty graphics and extra things on here. But we're not gonna really go over a lot of that in this tutorial. I'll show you, obviously you can add a ton of different sources through here. If you wanted to add your webcam, it's gonna be under your video capture device, and we'll just rename this to webcam. But since I'm already using my webcam on my other instance of OBS on my other monitor that I'm using to record this video, I'm not able to show you my webcam here. It doesn't matter, even if I select the webcam, it will not show up as a device here, just because I'm already using it over there. So I do apologize for that. If I had a second webcam, I could probably make this work, but I only have one webcam. Let's go ahead and remove that out of there. So at the very least, if you have a source that's not working, there's a very quick tutorial on how to add it and remove it if it's not working. So lastly, if you've already got your Twitch, Mixer, or YouTube account linked, all you gotta do is start streaming. You can either click the button here to start streaming, or you can use your hotkey if you set that up. Or if all you want to do is record and you don't want to stream, you can hit the start recording button or use your hotkey to start recording. All right, guys, that is all. Happy streaming. Hope you guys found this useful. If you did, hit that like button. If you have anything else you want me to cover in more details that I can make another video about to help you out, please let me know in the comments. If you need help setting up your alerts, getting your stream chat overlaid over your actual stream, if you need help setting up an overlay, anything like that, let me know in the comments, please. If you want to see how all of my stuff set up works in action, go ahead and follow me over at twitch.tv/ShinigamiNG channel. There will be a link in the description. And if you're not already and you found this helpful, go ahead and subscribe to my channel here on YouTube if you want some more content like this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Shinny out.